Hello everyone, I'm Nick Johnson, and today we are doing a full comprehensive review of Ratchet and Clank. To start this off, I want to say that this is a spoiler-free video. You will get tiny little bits about each character, some bios about the two new characters, Rivet and Kit, but that will be it. It will not be something that will destroy the story for you. I will not give any spoilers to that. In the background, you will be seeing gameplay of me 100% completing the game, and that will also be a part of this review, which I will get to in just a few moments. But let's start with Insomniac Games. Insomniac, before this, just released Miles Morales, which I have to say was probably my favorite game of the year, and I don't even know where it would compare to Ratchet and Clank as I speak right now. Both games were incredible in their own way. They also both used adaptive triggers very well, but this game was fully optimized for a PS5, where Miles Morales was made for PS4 and PS5. Let's start with the story. So, when the game first starts, you're in Ratchet and Clank's world, the familiar world we already know. And they go through the rift, which takes them through a dimension that is actually Rivet's world, where you meet Rivet and Kit. In this dimension with Rivet, every planet you go to, you will play as either Ratchet or you will play as Rivet. Each planet is different. There was no pattern between them. I thought it was every other, but I've noticed that some are every 2, every 3. There's a good enough amount of planets where you'll be playing as both characters, and they both continue to keep the same weapons. Early on, it's explained that every weapon you buy will also transfer to your other character, and every upgrade you do will transfer to the other character, because everyone thinks there's only one Lombax in this dimension. So, since we're in this new world, everyone thinks Ratchet is Rivet. So when you go to Mrs. Zircon, get upgrades, get new weapons, it goes to both of their profiles, because they don't know that they're different. So they both keep the same upgrades, which I thought was a very good way of doing it, because now you don't have to worry about one character having more than the other, one being higher level than the other, and, swapping between the two of them and not playing as well. The story, even though it did come out during my childhood, it did not feel childish at all in the slightest. It felt incredible. I felt anyone of any age could play this game and enjoy themselves. So I do love that they kept it where anyone of any age can play this, because again, I started playing this as a kid, and now I'm playing it as an adult, and I have not skipped a beat of loving the game. So I would say that this story, in the end, is a 9 out of 10. I've touched on the characters a little bit, but let me get a little bit more in depth. There are always going to be opposites to each character. Some of them will be spoilers, so I will not be giving them up. But there is going to be opposites for someone such as Captain Quirk. You will be seeing someone in that way. You see like the opposite of, Rivet is Ratchet. The opposite of Clank is Kit. You're going to be meeting these characters. You're going to be learning about them. You're going to be getting their entire backstory throughout the entire game. And the story is not just for 1 or 2 particular characters. It is all 4 of them. You're learning about all 4 at all times. So for bringing back characters that we might have forgotten about, and even giving them new parts, or the existing characters we remember, know, and love, and seeing their counterpart, I have to give the characters a 10 out of 10. Insomniac made it so perfect for us to understand who everyone was and to keep us engaged in their stories. Now we move on to gameplay, and we're speaking about Insomniac, so you know it's going to be great the second you hear that they've created a game. Insomniac made this game so smooth. The graphics were so beautiful. The ray tracing that they used for the PS5 was great. This is the second PlayStation 5 optimized game. The first one being Returnal, which I've seen a lot of reviews about. I have not played it personally myself, but that game did not seem to hold up as long as people wished it would. And I know they had some issues with their updating system. But back to Ratchet and Clank, the controller kept me engaged. If you ever put the controller down, you feel like you've left the universe, you've left the game. You're no longer a part of what's going on. So the controller keeps you engaged with everything that's going on. The vibrations every time you move, jumping, has its own movements. There's sounds that can come out of the controllers if you're not using a headset, but I used one, so I didn't really hear these sounds too often. Being able to partially click down on a trigger to power up a weapon. You know, like the right trigger does so much more than it used to. The left trigger is mainly used for aiming when you have something, a gun such as the Headhunter, where you have to aim in sometimes. But this, if you use the pixelator, say, you can charge up the pixelator halfway cocked, and then when you click down through the adaptive trigger, it'll give up a big explosion and most likely kill who's in front of you and charge up your weapons. The first thing I thought of when I saw the graphics in this game were, this looks like Cyberpunk, or this looks like Tokyo. It was so beautiful and looked so real, even though you're playing as such fake, unrealistic characters. You felt like this was a real world that you were immersed into, and that you were going to be trying to figure out. For gameplay slash graphics, as their final score, I have to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It was phenomenal to turn this game on and just feel refreshed. This did remind me a lot of like a Cyberpunk kind of a game. Even though Cyberpunk had its issues, no one can deny that game was beautiful. And to my favorite part, which is now what you're watching on screen, all of the trophies. The trophy difficulty in this game was very low. It was actually super easy. And for one thing that I love that they did was they did not force you to start a new save or do a new game plus. After 100%ing this game, this made it the third game of Insomniac's that I have 100%ed. That being The Amazing Spider-Man, or Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and now Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They do not make it impossible for you to 100% a game. Miles Morales, yes, did make you replay the game. However, that game was so small that you didn't mind going back and seeing the details and understanding the story more. Whereas a game like the first Spider-Man, they didn't force you to do, but it was an extra bronze trophy if you wanted to get that extra push for that 100%. And for trophy difficulty's final score, I have to give it a 10 out of 10. If you're someone who doesn't care about it, this can still be a game you can 100% and enjoy yourself. This is a game where anyone can do it, and it can be honestly your first 100% because you can do this in about a week or two. This game only took me about 14 episodes to complete. It was 14, 15 was the finale, and then now this is episode 16, which is just my comprehensive review. This game didn't take long. My sessions were about 2 to 3 hours a day, and I feel like anyone at least has an hour, so you can finish this game between 1 and 2 weeks and still have time to 100% it if that is something you really wanted to do. So my verdict for the game is I would definitely buy and play again. I know I said I would not want to play the game again, but that's just for the trophies. I would sit down and play this game again. And I feel like this could be a great way to continue this series. I really hope Insomniac continues to make this game alongside of their Spider-Man series. I think, going back and forth with these 2-3 games with all of their stories, I think will be incredible for their franchise as a whole. But also this game is just super fun. And if you're tallying along with me, these are my final scores as the recap. Story, 9 out of 10. Characters, 10 out of 10. Gameplay, 9.5 out of 10. And trophy difficulty, 10 out of 10. With the final score being a high five and an awkward side hug from your middle school crush. This game is a must buy. I'm not going to give serious ratings on this channel. I'm sorry if you're waiting for that, but I will tell you that I highly recommend this game if you have the time in your day. Again, you need maybe an hour a day to play, even just 20-30 minutes to finish a mission. There is so much you can do, and it leaves so much open for them to continue this series, and I really hope they do. I hope it gets the recognition it deserves, and I hope that people find this game or find these gameplays and go, wow, I really want to play that. It's worth the full $70, and I think everyone should go pick it up right now. Again, hope everyone enjoyed this review. Let me know what you'd like to see me play next. And as always, stay hydrated.